Good morning, friends. Today, in this video, you are going to learn about the fundamentals of nanochemistry. So, in this class, we are going to learn about what are nanomaterials, what are nanoparticles, nanoclusters, nanomaterials, what are significant properties of nanomaterials, what are applications of nanomaterials, what are carbon nanotubes and their preparation and applications. When you observe the definitions of what are nanoclusters, nanoparticles, nanomaterials, we just have one word common, nano. What is a nano? Nano is a state of size. Actually, we just heard a colloidal word similar to colloidal. Here, nano is also explaining a state of size. Colloidal size is in the range of 10 power minus 4 to 10 power minus 7 micrometers. Here, its size is 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers. So any size range of things within the range of 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers, we normally call them as nano. The first one is nanoclusters. We all know that atoms combine to form molecules. In this way, all the molecules are atoms when they are agglomerating and forms a small clusters. We call them as nanoclusters. When we can call them as nanoclusters, especially which have the atoms or molecules have few to some thousand units in which the diameters are in nanometer scale. So one of the dimensions, if they are in the nanometer scale, in the clusters, one of the dimensions are in nanometer scale, then we say nanoclusters. These are the smaller the units. The next comes the nanoparticles. What are nanoparticles? It's a combination of clusters. So big clusters, again with the diameters of from couple of nanometers to several hundreds of nanometers. So when we just observe the nanoclusters and nanoparticles, more or less they are same. Only the thing is, the nanocluster means the size is in the range of 0.2 nanometers, or in the angstroms, you can say that. 2 angstroms or 1 angstrom or like that is an atomic size, or 10 angstroms. So here nanoparticles means their size is a bigger one and extended one. The more clusters are combined, then we normally get a nanoparticle. So its size is in 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers. So there is no big distinction. It's only a smaller thing. These are the aggregates, and bigger aggregates we can call them as nanoparticles. Nanomaterials, so which refers to the materials having unique properties derived from features present in them whose dimensions are on the nanoscale. So any bulk material that we are just observing, so its properties normally deviate from a nano. So when you are observed, because of one of the dimensions are in the nano size, these materials are differ from the bulk. So that's why nanomaterials are the properties of the materials because of the dimensions are in the range of 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers. So the nanoparticles, when they are built up to form a materials, then they are the nanomaterials. Simple. Nanotechnology. Technology means we can manipulate, we can prepare, we can bring changes in the size to nanometer, thereby the properties. So that's why Nanotechnology is a study of a manipulation of a matter in atomic and molecular or supramolecular scale in the size range of 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers, at least one dimension, whether in a shape, radius, or whatever it may be. One dimension, if it is in the range of 1 nanometer. So manipulating the things, and we are bringing the sizes to 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. Then they normally behave like a unique way. So that's we are exploring those properties. So the methodologies that we are applying, we normally call them as nanotechnology. So what is the nanochemistry? Is the study of atoms or molecule interactions of the materials in the size range. So what will happen when the size range, the atoms or molecules interacting in 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers? That part of the study, that we normally call it as nanochemistry. So anyhow, when you are observing all these dimensions, the important size range is 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers. So nano means the size range, like a colloidal body. So here is the various nanomaterials that we can, the bulk materials to nanomaterials, the distinction. Water molecule, it is in the range of 10 power of minus 1 nanometer. Otherwise, we can say that's 1 angstrom. So this come under a single water molecule, but this single water molecule not available directly because water is always in hydrogen bond formation. So 3 or 4 molecules of water will combine to form and exist. So the 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 molecules, when they're available in the form of a cluster, that we normally call it as a nanocluster. Nanocluster. 4 or 5 water molecules. The similar way gold atom, it is in the range of 3 angstroms. So more gold atoms, 3 or 4, then we normally call it as a cluster. So this is a big cluster. When it is big cluster, the size is in 1 nanometer. So a cluster is becoming bigger and extend its size from 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers, then we can call them as nanoparticles. So these are the various sizes of the materials that we know. Hemoglobin, the 5 nanometer size, the important constituent in the blood. The DNA, the size is 10 nanometers. And the virus, even the COVID virus also that we are just talking about is 100 nanometers. This nanos. Bacteria is somewhat bigger and 1000 nanometers. More than 1000, we normally call it as a micrometer. So nowadays, there is a one definition is there for nanometers. So the materials which are less than this micrometers, this 10 power minus 6 less than, or otherwise 1 nanometer to 1000 nanometer materials, then we can call them as nano. Nowadays, this is the size. In the definition, we say 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers, it is extended even nowadays up to 1000 nanometers, less than micro particles. We normally call them as nanometers. So these are red cell size. This is 10 micrometers, 100 micrometers, and 10 power 6 nanometers. Otherwise, we can say this millimeters, 10 millimeters. This is a very small, we can say 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters size that we can visually see if it is in a milli. And base bar, 10 power 8 nanometers, or otherwise you can say it's a 10 centimeters length. It's a 10 centimeters length. So other nanometers that we just have the shapes. The carbon has the allotropes in bulk form, graphite and diamond, everybody knows. In the nano form, it has 3 allotropes. fullerenes, carbon nanotubes, and graphenes. They are all the same, similar in structure, only the shape especially. It is a spherical in shape. It is a tube in shape, so this is the carbon nanotube, and it is sheet, and it's like graphene. So we can see that yin is a double bond nature, so that's why graphite is fully a saturated molecule at some particular hexagonal structures. When double bonds are there, then it becomes graphene. It's a double bonded graphite. We can call it as a graphene. So it is a two-dimensional sheet like. This is a spherical in nature, and this is a tube in nature. Nanomaterials is not a new subject. Even it has a big history, and humans use these materials in 100 years back also. We can see here a beautiful vase. It is colored this ruby red color. This is due to some gold nanoparticles trapped in the glass. So this is nano in size. This is a ceramic matrix. Gold particles are blocked and trapped in this glass mat. And these are giving this beautiful the ruby red color. So in the painting earlier, the humans used these nano particles and get different colors. And everybody knows that gold particle, the color in bulk is the golden yellow. But you see that it is a ruby red here. So it is not a new topic. It's an old topic. But why we are just discussing and giving a special status to know what is the specialty with nano? Especially the properties of nanomaterials deviate from those of the single crystal or a polycrystal. So when we just observe nowadays, the properties in the nano size, they behave in one way, and in bulk, they behave in another way. So this strong distinction makes the use of these nanomaterials, because entirely different properties that we are just witnessing in the nano. For example, we say that the metals are good conductors. In nano size, they become insulators. Semiconductors, now they become good conductors. So a sharp distinction in the properties. In the bulk to nano, we are observing. So the fundamental properties like electronic, magnetic, optical, chemical, and biological surface properties, energy levels, electronic structure, and reactivity are different from nanomaterials in comparison with bulk materials. So exhibit size dependent properties such as low melting points, higher energy, gaps, etc. Surface and interface bases. So here bulk metals only relatively small percentage of atoms to be at or near a surface or interface. Normally few atoms are there on the surface, but when you just go to nano, then the more number of atoms will go to surface. This brings the big changes, especially in the properties. So these materials have created high interest in recent years, by virtue of unusual properties in chemical, mechanical, electrical, optical, and magnetic properties. When you are observed why we are getting all these changes, here two significant factors make these properties of nanomaterials which differ from their bulk counterparts. So two factors are ruling the maximum here, the nanomaterials which differ from the bulk counterparts. The one is the relative surface area. The second one is the quantum size effects or quantum confinement effects, or whatever. First, we see that the relative surface area. Surface area increases as the particle size reduces, which increases the reactivity rate. Normally, we know that the surface area is increasing, then the reactivity will increase. So here is a big example. When you see that this is a small cluster, and the number of clusters are increasing. So it's a small one shell. If two shells are there, three shells are there, four shells are there, five shells are there, seven shells are there. So what is happening? The total number of atoms here, they are 13. And surface atoms, when you are observed, 92% of this 13, almost 11 to 12 atoms which are there on the outside of the surface only. They are exposed to surface. And 55 atoms are there, only 76%. So 76% of atoms only are on the surface. When the size is increasing, we can see that the number of atoms which are exposed to the surface is decreasing. So this is what I'm just saying. The size is decreasing, the surface area is increasing. Surface area increases as the particle size reduces. So this increase of surface area, we normally call it as it carries some effects, surface effects. These surface effects bring changes in reactivity increase, density decrease, surface tension, because surface energy will increase, surface tension increase, and catalytic activity will increase. So it get a special catalytic activity, chemical reactivity will increase. Optical band gap increase, electronic properties will changes, and melting and boiling points will changes. So all these surface effects, they bring changes in the properties. So when you compare the bulk to nano, there is a tremendous changes. So these are showing more significant. So the importance is rise as far as nano. Quantum confinement effect. What is a quantum confinement? Then we are all know in the band theory, atoms have atomic orbitals. When n atoms undergo combination in metals, which results n molecular orbitals of closely spaced energy levels called bands. The band theory, we are all learned about how the band formation. Band is nothing but closely spaced energy levels. So atoms are combined, then molecular orbitals will result. So these normally give bands. The density of energy levels in the band is proportional to the number of atoms. So more number of atoms are there, more closely spaced energy levels will be the result. More density of the energy levels, more closely spacing, and we normally call them as more close spacing that we can observe, then more number of atoms are there. Thus the density is more for the bulk metal than the metal present in the small clusters. With small clusters, very few atoms will be there. So then definitely we can see the distinction. So the close spacing molecular energy levels becomes discrete energy levels in the band. So we can see there is a spacing in the energy levels. So the small cluster is analogous to molecule having discrete energy levels. So we can distinguish the bonding and the anti-bonding orbitals because there is a spacing in the energy levels when the size is reducing, because only few molecules, few atoms will be there. So eventually size is reached where the surface of the particles are separated by distances which of the order of wavelength of electrons. So when the size is decreasing, the spacing of energy levels increases. At one particular stage, the distance between the energy levels and the wavelength of the electrons both must be same. So this spacing and wavelength of electrons are same in order. That we normally call it as a quantum size effect, or otherwise the quantum confinement effect. So this is playing a more important role even in the properties. Just have a look. This is the best example of a beryllium bulk metal. because it is an off-field extended overlapping orbital. Because of that, this is off-field, so conduction is highly possible. So we can see that it is a band because all the energy levels are highly closely spaced. We cannot resolve the energy levels. When the atoms are decreasing here, then what will happen? The resolution come out. So we can see that we can resolve the individual the energy levels. Still the atoms are, then the distance is increasing. So we can, these are the discrete energy levels. So you can see that there is an increase in the spacing of energy levels. Then going to atoms and molecules. So this is the bulk, a metallic cluster, a simple cluster, and atoms and molecules. We can see that there is a big gap here in the energy levels. The energy levels are very close, then the conduction is possible. Then the spacing is upshoving, so the conduction becomes more difficult. So that's the reason when we just observed the metals, which are good conductors, they are just becoming insulated. So this we normally call it as a size-induced metal insulator transition. When a bulk metal is going into transition to a nanometal and it is becoming an insulator, the electronic conductors becoming the electronic insulators. So you can see that in semiconductivity, especially we can see that the outermost valency, fully filled valency electron. But we can see that there is a small gapping is increasing. So vacant sites will also normally we can see in the valency band because it's not completely filled. Almost filled, but small energy gaps will be there. So that's the gapping is increasing there between the conducting band to the valency band. There is a small gap in semiconductors because otherwise if it is a band, then there is a difference. This is the conduction, the valency band, this is the conduction band. Within the valency band only, if these discrete energy levels are arising, vacant orbitals will be there, fill orbitals will be there, then there is a possibility of migration of electrons. Then what will happen? The semiconducting material, unless or until we just give an energy, will not conduct the current, especially in the normal temperatures in a bulk materials, but in nano size, they are becoming conductors. They're becoming conductors. So semiconducting conductivity will be increased when we just go from bulk size to nano size. Metallic conductivity will decrease. Semiconducting conductivity or insulator conductivity will normally increase from bulk to nano. So electronic properties will change due to this. Not only electronic properties. So the quantum confinement effects responsible for increase in energy difference between energy states and band gap. So this phenomena is reason for optical and electronic properties of the metals. Optical also. How we are getting a color? It is a jump from electron jump from lower energy to ground energy to excited state energy, and again it is coming to the ground state. So then light will be empty. So that is the reason we can see that depends upon the energy gaps. The energy gaps depends upon the number of atoms present in. So the size of the atom. The gold particle size is changing. The color of the gold particle here it is changing. 2 nanometers, this is the size. 3, this is the size. 5, 8, 6, 12, 16, 18. When we are observing, slowly the color is changing. So this is violet color, purple color, this is a blue color. So we can see that the orange, there's a separate oranges out there. When the size is increasing, so then it is becoming a bulk, then we normally get in a yellow color. So optical and electronic properties are due to the spacing. This spacing or band gap is increasing, especially with the quantum confinement effects. That means size is reducing, then the band energy is increasing, which renders optical and electronic properties. So these properties, the chemical, electronic, magnetic, everything. So here we can use the nanomaterials in various applications. The first one is catalysis. Surface area is increasing, so they can act as a better catalyst. Nanotransistor, field effect transistors, especially as I said, the semiconducting materials, their conductivity is increasing. So the more better flow that we can see, so that's why they can be used in the preparation of transistors and field effect transistor, nanotransistor, field emission. Suppose an induced electrostatic field is there, so the number of electrons which are migrating or moving, that will be increased. So this movement, this conduction in the state of electrostatic field, that we normally call it as field emission. This is the main the technique involved in creating a tunneling effect. So that's why scanning tunneling microscope. So scanning probes that we can create with this field emissions. So they will be used in scanning tunneling microscopes. The MEMS device, the storage, hydrogen can be stored in this nanomaterial because the size difference, we can keep hydrogen in this particular materials. Energy conversion devices, nanomation, chemical, bio, pressure, and thermal sensors, and magnetic materials, because it is also causing a changes not only in electrical, optical, the free electrons are coming, then it will induce the magnetic changes also. So we normally get a magnetic, new magnetic materials we can prepare with this nanomaterials. So these are the applications of nanomaterials. Now we'll see what are carbon nanotubes. As I just discussed earlier, carbon nanotube is allotrope of carbon in nano sizes. There are 3 allotropes are there in the nano sizes: graphene, carbon nanotube, and fullerene. Fullerene is spherical in shape. Carbon nanotube is the cylindrical molecules consist of rolled up sheets of single layer carbon atoms, graphene. Graphene is a sheet-like structure. You can see that this is a sheet-like structure. So this sheet-like structure, when we are preparing a spherical shape, then we can call it as a fullerene. Or if you are making rolling and preparing like a tube, then we can call it as a nanotube. So this is what the statement is. Carbon nanotubes are the cylindrical molecules that consist of rolled up sheets of single layer carbon atoms. They can be classified as single-walled carbon nanotubes, the diameter of less than 1 nanometer. 1 nanometer or less than 1 nanometer sheets are there. We can call them as single-walled carbon nanotubes, or otherwise multi-walled carbon nanotubes consisting of several concentrically interlinked nanotubes with diameter reaching more than 100 nanometers. So more of such carbon nanotubes are rolled, then the diameter will be further increased. Then we normally call it as a multi-walled carbon nanotubes, so with diameter extend up to 100 nanometers. So their length can reach several micrometers to even millimeters. So the size is very a bigger one. When you just observe the size to diameter ratio, the size is in the range of lakhs, the diameter is in nanometers. So lakhs to 10 lakhs to 1 is the ratio you can see. So this is a graphene sheets. This is a fullerene, a spherical bulky ball. Buckminster, that's why you can say Buckminster fullerene, a bulky ball, and it is a nanotube. Single nanotube is the one rolled and the diameter is in the range of 1 nanometer. We can call it as a single walled carbon nanotube, or otherwise many of these carbon nanotubes are rolled. Then we normally get a multi-walled carbon nanotube. So its size is becomes a bigger one, and the diameter is varying from more than 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers. If more than 1 nanometer, 100 nanometers, then we can call it as a multi-walled. Less than 1 nanometer, we can call it as a single-walled carbon nanotubes. How to prepare? So this we can prepare with a graphite rods by electric arc method. If the graphite rods are touched by applying a high voltage, then arc will produce. A soot will produce with this arc. That soot, when you are in an inert atmosphere, when you are collecting into a non-polar solvent, then we normally get the spherical balls of the fullerenes. These spherical balls, when you are opening in the form of a sheet, then we normally get a graphene. That graphene, when you are rolled, then we normally get carbon nanotubes. So the preparation by arc method similar to the C60 fullerenes. Experiment conditions, smaller difference. The graphite electrodes that we use, these are the graphite electrodes. We are applying a DC power voltage from here. So the pressure is around 0.7 atmosphere pressure to 400 torsion pressure. And the distance between the graphite electrodes are here it is 1 millimeter distance. So arc evaporation of graphite carried in the inert atmosphere, here helium, argon, or methane, or hydrogen, any of these inert gases that we can here maintain, and plasma condition. So we normally observe this, the soot particles which are producing, when these two are connected, the arc will produce. From the arc, we normally get the soot. This soot consists of the carbon nanotubes. So we have to collect in a non-polar solvent. So this is what the way that we can prepare the carbon nanotubes. Carbon fibers like deposit on the negative graphite electrodes. Sometimes not only carbon nanotubes, the fibers will also form. It's all size dependent. Bigger size, then they normally start depositing on the negative electrode. So carbon fiber like deposit on the negative graphite electrode. So this we call it as a carbon nanotube. So what is the important properties of this? Normally, graphene is similar to graphite only. It is a planar in shape, two-dimensional sheet-like structure. Graphite layer structure with some double bonds, especially in the graphite when some double bonds are there in the hexagonal planar ring, then it becomes a graphene. Graphite is a saturated one, graphene is unsaturated one. Like graphene, CNTs are also chemically bonded with sp2. So as we normally see that the graphite or graphene, the carbon is showing sp2 hybridization. So CN2 also, the carbon is showing sp2 hybridization. So the chemical bond linkage is with sp2 bonds. So extremely strong and form molecular interaction. This feature combined with carbon nanotubes, this sp2 hybridization nature and nanotube nature, halo in nature, there is a natural inclination to rope together via van der Waals forces, provided the opportunity to develop ultra high strength. So these ropes, especially when you are just mixing the carbon nanotubes, the planar rings of another carbon nanotube, and this carbon nanotube will undergo van der Waals force of attraction. So this creates some force, some bond. So this bond, they are becoming roping each other. So that's when what will happen? The strength, and more of such carbon nanotubes are roping, are bonding each other, then what will happen? They become strengthened. So ultra high strength, low weight materials. So when we see that ultra high strength, the strength is 100 times better than the steel. So you can see that these forces, this small bonding is increasing high strength in the low weight materials, ultra thin in nature, and possess high conductive electrical and thermal properties. So they becomes highly tensile in nature, showing high tensile strength, low weight materials, and conductive as far as electrical and thermal properties concerned. So these important properties makes these carbon nanotube materials attractive and finding a place in various application process. So this makes them highly attractive for numerous applications. What are the applications? Especially we are saying that the sporting materials. So we can say, can take a tennis racket. This is a very light material, but its strength is very, very high. How we are getting? And we are preparing this carbon nanotubes that we are preparing a composition with the wood, which gives high strength to these rockets. So they can hit with a heavy speed and at the same time lightweight. They are lightweight. Tennis players can handle very easily. Otherwise, earlier, when they are using a wood, they are normally getting a tennis elbow while continuously using this heavyweight tennis rackets. So nowadays, these tennis rackets becoming lighter and more strength because of this carbon nanotubes. In the automotive and the space equipments also, where the high strength is required and the lightweight is required, there we normally using this carbon nanotubes. Catalysts, they are playing a role as catalysts in chemical process. They are playing a role as a semiconducting materials, and they are using to prepare as a transistors in optoelectronic devices. At the same time, they are used to hold the gases. So the gas sensors like hydrogen and greenhouse gases, the greenhouse gases, so that we can sense the environmental applications, especially greenhouse gases that we can sense, so they can be used as a gas sensors. As electrodes in chemical and biological sensing applications, as drug delivery vehicles in nanomedicine and biotechnology. So normally when we are using earlier, the drug is administered in time process. But nowadays, the same medicine, it will be administered automatically. It will release the drug as per the prescribed time. So we cannot take many times a drug. Even one drug orally that we are taking, it will be administered and released as per the times. So a drug delivery vehicles here used in nanomedicine and biotechnology. As a nanofilters in water purification, nowadays the biological membranes that we are just replacing with this carbon nano tubes, these are all ultra filtering materials. They can filter in a better way and purifying the water without losing the natural characteristics of the water when we can purify the water. So safe handling, low cost process that we are getting these membranes. As a display units, so LED in the light emitting diodes is a field emission display units because they can produce the electrons in an electrostatic induced process. So that's why as a display units also nowadays we are using in the technology. So these are all the various applications of carbon nanotube. Thank you very much.